from the elite class, and now we are moving to the rural areas
Yeah.
where English is going to be very, very difficult,
Yeah.
right? So I guess what we have to start with is with to connect school to the students' lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we have to begin activities with what students know from home, connecting home to school,
Yeah.
right? And also the syllabus has to be such that it is easily understood by them. You know, once we had a German teacher who would only talk in German, and that's how we learned. But I don't know how that is going to help
Mm-hmm.
here, because if we just talk in English, they won't even understand.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we'll have to. Um, the challenges are many, I guess. One would be lack of resources. You know, we won't have resources, very limited support from society, because you won't get any help from parents.
Mm.
So it's going to be doubly difficult for teachers, I think. And then, of course, language barrier.
Yeah.
I believe you're putting up the schools in two areas, one in Punjab and one in Assam.
It's Haryana and Nagaland actually, ma'am.
Okay. So, you
Yeah.
know, we were, through society, we were reviewing many schools. And I don't think in Nagaland it will be so much of a problem teaching English. But Haryana, yes, it will become a problem. Because we've observed many schools all over India, and I think Northeast was pretty good. The
Mm-hmm.
average student could pick up English pretty fast because maybe they are exposed to it. Maybe it's some of them speak English at home. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
Haryana will be a little problem. Will be a problem, I think.
So initially we are trying to test it out in these two regions, but
Uh-huh.
eventually the plan is to expand it to various countries as well down the line,
Okay.
like trying to implement it in other projects as well, other countries.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you see, there are three methods. One is the teaching through conversation, which I'm sure will be our mode operandi. I mean, teaching through conversation would be the easiest. But you know what we do, how we teach English in our schools is through textbooks. First comes reading and learning. What should actually come first is your speaking. That's what is done in other countries. You have to speak the language first, and then you get to read and write. Okay, so that we have to keep in mind. The next one is your direct method, which is the same one. Direct method, oral, which is the natural method. Then we have the textbook trap, you know, reading through the textbook, which most of us do in schools, especially in the rural areas, I guess. Okay, and it's repetition. The teacher reads out something and you repeat that. And then you have the audio lingual method. You know, first you listen and then you speak. So I guess a combination of the audio lingual and the combination of teaching through conversation would be most helpful in such schools. And of course, I think vocational training should be made compulsory. You know, you're teaching English, but remember, most of them drop out of school in the 10th or the 12th. So there should be at least some vocational training for these children, you know, along with the language. You know, like carpentry class or needlework class. At least they can make a living after learning. Um, that's all that I thought of speaking about. But like your syllabus, I could help, but you'd have to
Mm-hmm.
tell me what you want to do with the syllabus,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I could say, you know, what will help. Like, you know, first of all, a lot of pictures. the books. Initially, there must be a lot of pictures. Otherwise, they will not be able to visualize anything.
Makes sense, makes sense. Ma'am,
Yeah.
can you please elaborate on this part? Like, why do we actually need so many images, or what particular part should we focus upon as we go about, say, teaching English in regions where it's not their first language?
I guess first we'll have to break things down to words. You know, not full sentences, just words. And then you speak in the native language. So you'll have to pick up teachers who know the native language and who know English well. So you have to choose teachers very carefully. Like you tell me to go and teach in Nagaland, I mean, I wouldn't know their language. So it will be doubly difficult for me. So pick up teachers who live in that area, in that region, who know the language, and then who know English well. But they have to be English teachers because you have to know the nuances of English. You know, otherwise your prepositions, nowadays everybody is an MA in English and BA in English, but their prepositions are terrible, you know, and they can't even write a letter.
Hmm.
Most
So,
definitely, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. So I'll elaborate a bit about your program, and we did, want some insights on uh, the English language pedagogy in particular. So it's actually a two-pronged program, wherein the first prong concerns rural Indian children, which concerns Nagaland and Haryana, as I've mentioned. The second part is actually about providing quality education to anyone who needs it. So it will be in the form of creating a repository of online, sort of modules and curriculum and, just textbooks so that anybody who wants access to quality education can access it. On that note, ma'am, in your experience, in your extensive, amazing experience in English pedagogy, what exactly do you think can be incorporated and how we can go about it in the quality education part of it?
see, I guess first you have to understand where children lie, make different groups, group children according to their abilities, right? I mean, if somebody is gifted, somebody who's very good uh, at your what is it, computers, then they should be taught differently. But the basic, what I do, you all will have to start with the alphabets in nursery prep, and then sentence construction. But first of all, the knowledge of words has to be there. That is why I say, just words, like, pointing to the door. You have picture of the door, and then, you have the word door, and then you have maybe the Hindi word to go with it.
Hmm.
And then the next class, you have only English and not the native language. I guess that's how we have to start.
That approach makes a lot of sense, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that.
Now, because I have taught a few children, across the road whose parents are drivers. And, teaching them CBSE syllabus is very, very tough. They just mug it up.
Yeah.
No use mugging up. But the child is now doing, her political honors. And the brother has gone into engineering. So, good. I mean, when you have the facilities, and of course, you have to provide all the facilities. The computer, the teacher, and not only sticking to your classroom, take them out, maybe, field trips. Field trips would be good, would be helpful. Cultural places,
Hmm.
more of interaction rather than bookish knowledge. I am getting a few questions. Let me see. Arijit Goswami has written something. Oh, Arijit, when it comes to vocational training, should we also encourage listening exercises Help us to see if students are able to understand different regional accents of English. Yes, you can do that. But vocational training, I meant was, to get them jobs later on.
Ma'am, I think he's written vocal training and not vocational
Oh, okay,
training.
okay. Vocal training, okay. Sorry. When it comes to vocal training, should we also encourage listening exercises? Yeah, of course. Regional accents, yes. Okay, good morning, Adongo, Richard. And Jeremy, could I ask about training teachers? If you have to choose teachers that are more suited to the culture of the area, could there be a way that teachers can help prevent students from dropping out of school? See, how effective the school is, that will depend on the dropout, I think, rate. If the school is interesting, if they learn and if they're satisfied, I don't think there'll be many dropouts. But then, some of them have to work in the morning when your school is on. Then you have to have evening classes. So class shift has to be there. Everybody can't come to school at the same time, I guess, in the rural areas. Like some farmers, they have to till the land in the morning. They have only time in the evening.
Yeah.
So either you have evening classes, have afternoon classes, shifts. You have to have shifts. The basic teaching in the morning, extra teaching in the evenings. Okay, what does Jahnavi Roy say? Okay, would it be smarter to have two teachers? Nowadays, that is the norm of having two teachers, 3 teachers, knows the local language, one has a good grip on English to help teach better. That would be very good. That would be ideal. That would be ideal, I think, Janvi. So, Janvi, where are you from?
Ma'am, I'm from Delhi, India.
Oh, okay.
I would also like anyone who would like to ask any question to ma'am
Yeah,
to
because
just
I've
unmute
exhausted
themselves.
I'd like to answer questions, but I've exhausted my, input, I think.
Makes sense, ma'am. If anyone would like to ask anything, they can just raise their hand or type in the chat and unmute themselves and just ask
How do you
away.
all work together? Over what? How do you all get to work together?
Specifically the platform, ma'am, or
Yeah,
the working.
platform, and then has anybody started teaching in the rural areas?
Right, ma'am. So, what we're planning to do right now is we've contacted some local contacts in the areas that we're targeting in Nagaland and Haryana.
Okay.
Haryana, there has been a better progress so far, and I think we've contacted these people and they have a better idea of how the children will be and we'll be providing them devices where they can take online classes for now and we'll have some of the local volunteers pitch in and go to these areas at a
Excellent.
certain time and that is basically our on the ground initiative that we are planning. The
Mhm.
second aspect which I was describing to you, the one where we'll be creating a repository of sorts, that is also is something that we are aiming for because we think that a lot of curriculum that is covered in today is very academically oriented and not, as you said, oriented towards the vocation that one has to sort of take into after a certain amount of time. And towards that end, we'll be, giving free access to people on content related to curriculum on financial literacy, menstrual health, sustainable development curriculum, and so on and so forth. So we will be creating some very unique modules on those lines, and our fellows, volunteers, and interns have started already working on menstrual health and certain other topics as well, and we'll be kicking off work full-fledgedly very soon at the beginning of the next month, actually. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's an encapsulation of what we're sort of buzzing about to do, ma'am.
When you're making the syllabus, then I could go through the syllabus and given my suggestions.
That will be immensely helpful, ma'am. That will be
Yeah.
thank you so
And
much
then
for that.
I could talk to the teachers when they are, before the classes begin. These are the, I think,
Yeah.
areas where I can help.
That will be just great, ma'am. It's delightful to hear that, and thank you so much for
How to
extending
teach,
that.
yeah, how to teach and
Hmm.
what to focus. Like start with the nouns and start with the prepositions rather than anything else.
Ma'am, could you
On
please
the
provide
table,
some
under the
insight upon
table,
that
like that.
here itself?
Mhm.
Like many of our fellows are also teachers in schools, so that would be
Mhm.
helpful for them as well if they were
Yeah.
to go into
Like, for
classes.
preposition, take a little ball and say, show how it is under the table, how it is above the table, how it is on the left, how it is on the right, instead of just, reading it out from the book, right? And even direct and indirect speeches that we do. It's always, through the rules. But if you get one child to speak something and then tell another child, okay, now you speak what he said. A child is saying, I am going to school. Now you tell, okay, the other friend, okay, now you tell me what he said. So we'll say, he said that he was going to school. That's how it will be, I think, better teaching rather than just teaching them, the rules and regulations. That's what we always do in school.
Yeah.
First teach the rules and then, okay, now convert the direct sentences to the indirect ones. Reported speech. That's how we've learned over the
Yeah.
years.
It somehow becomes more like a mathematics
Yeah,
class more than
yeah,
English
yeah,
class.
yeah. And those who can grasp, they'll grasp. Those who can't, they will learn. You won't believe now, even in class 12, they don't, in DPS Arkipuram I'm talking about, they don't know the difference. All the good major schools, they don't know the difference between principal, PLE and PAL. In the letters, they have PLE for the principal. And you beat your head against the wall and nothing happens.
Ma'am, that is definitely something that does happen a lot. Personally, I've been through the same phase of confusing PLE and PAL.
Yeah.
Very valid plight that there is, ma'am. Ma'am, I had a question related to uh, just the English language curriculum that is conventionally taught specifically in CBSE and other equivalent boards.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in your personal experience, what are the lacunae and the gaps in that particular curriculum that can be fulfilled by teachers, which is structurally uncovered in the CBSE curriculum or any equivalent curriculum, ma'am. What
It's a
else can be
spoken English. Okay. Unless you hear the language, you can't learn the language. So more of speaking, those who have parents who speak English at home, they are very good at picking up and it's easier for them. And then comes the writing. So actually the first year should only be spoken English. And then you come down to writing. And then lay more stress on prepositions,
Yeah.
which is very weak in the Indian schools. And then, of course, the nuances of English come while teaching. And you have to cater to the children. Some classes will be good, some classes will be weak. So you'll have to start at the basic once again. And of course, repetition. Repeat what you say, make the children repeat. I can only say this in theory because I've not had practice in teaching rural areas, no?
Yeah.
But we've had children from, differently able background. So now it is all inclusive education. So we've had children and they do find it difficult. You have to give personal attention to them.
Hmm.
First, speak in Hindi and then speak in English. But that can be only in the initial stages. You can't come to class 12 and then, they demand, ma'am, pehle Hindi mein batao. The
Yeah.
poem, teach the poem in English, in Hindi and then in English. So,
Agreed, ma'am. Ma'am, so Janvi has another question related to
yeah,
the British English and American English dichotomy, sort of.
yeah,
What-
pronunciation. Yes, that's true. Like you have color.
that's right.
Yeah, you have color. But I guess it is your computer that accepts, no? It's the computer that accepts COLOR rather than COLOUR. So I think we should stick to the old British English. Like a word, like macabre, and the Americans pronounce it as macabre. Then you have garage and garage.
Yeah.
Both are accepted. Now I found out lately that it is garage is the English one and garage is the American one. So I guess both would be acceptable, especially for, these children. But I think we should stick to the English one rather than the American one.
That makes a lot of sense, ma'am. And now, ma'am, talking a bit more about getting the right balance between theoretical knowledge that teachers give to children and the practical aspect that you've mentioned. When exactly can a teacher know that they're in the right middle path, sort of enjoying both the theoretical
Then you
knowledge
have to take, tests, like
tests?
questions. Yeah, tests, maybe audio visual aids,
Hmm.
giving them some picture and telling them to describe. Picture description is very, very helpful.
Right.
And like essays, when you start with essay, okay, write a paragraph on picnic. Give them helping words. First talk to them, take out the words from them, put them up on the blackboard. Nothing like a blackboard or a whiteboard.
True.
I was observing these schools that were teaching all over India, and those teachers who made the use of whiteboards or blackboards were more effective. Maybe I don't like all these, your computer oriented stuff, but they were more effective. You can play around so much. You can write words down, and at least it is visual. They can see it. So if you're if they have to write a paragraph on picnic, so put those words down. Friends, cups, saucers, and a bag full of goodies, things like that, and then tell them to talk about it, and then get down to writing. Not just writing first.
Mm. First, have an oral discussion with the entire class
Yeah,
involved,
first,
and then
always oral discussion. Like somebody mentioned, you can have two teachers. One talks in the native language and the other one translates it into English.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much for that insight. Ma'am, my next question is going to be about testing itself, something that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Testing, ma'am, students are of the opinion that testing is burdensome. Of course, not most of the students, but that is the general perception among students that testing is something that's burdensome. And from evaluators' point of view, it's necessary to test students in the
Yeah.
case of
So you could
different
start with MCQs. MCQs would be the most, I think that would be very helpful in the beginning.
right, right, right.
MCQ, show little pictures, and then, MCQs, what is this? And then, because unless you get a feedback, you won't know where you are with them.
Agreed, ma'am. I think MCQs is something that has been a recent adoption in
Yeah.
standardized testing. So it's really, as you just said, ma'am, it's really gaining traction, and I think MCQs are definitely the way to go for.
Yeah, especially for beginners. Especially for beginners. In 11th and 12th, of course, we find it very tiresome. But for beginners, it is very good.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, in a language like English, do you think that you can evaluate sort of everything from an MCQ, or will there be certain requirements as you
No, no.
process?
Part of it will be MCQ, part of it you can have fill in the blanks.
Right, ma'am.
There you can give words and they choose the first year. The second year, don't give them words. See what word they fit in. And then you can even graduate to, poems after paraphrasing. Simple poems. You can have Indian poets. They're very, very good, very easy to understand. And of course, get them to read simple books. They can even start with comics. Nowadays you have those, what are those Hindi stories that have, that are translated into English comics?
Um,
There are. That's how these children read, I'll get back next time and I'll find out.
Yeah, I think that covers under short stories only, I guess. I'm not able to recall term myself for the.
And short stories is the best thing.
And my leading question on this only, like, how do you go about this, inculcating this very habit of, say, reading? Because this is something I also personally find interesting.
Library. Yes, you have to have a little library in the classroom and have a period for library in the classroom itself. Have books and ask the children, okay, pick up the book that you would like to read. And then make them into little groups.
Yeah.
There you can have more teachers. One group, one teacher, the other group, you can have some other teacher. They can start by reading the book, the teacher. That's how you have testing in nursery and prep, no?
Yeah.
We read a story, and then we ask the child to fill in the blanks. What was the character doing? What did the character eat? That's how we do in nursery and prep.
right, ma'am. Yes.
Arijit had one question. Arijit, you may go ahead.
I don't have Arijit.
I would like to say something.
Yeah, Arijit.
Arijit, perhaps we can take your question after Ananda. Ananda, you may go ahead. Arijit, we can take your question later.
Okay,
Just
so
after
so first of all, I didn't understand your timings. So I was, I think, 20 minutes late. It is right now at midnight in Edmonton, Canada, but I thought it's early morning,
No worries,
Like
Ananda.
basically I do in the early morning every time, but right now it's midnight in Edmonton. So I was so confused about the timing. So I'm sorry for that, at least 20 minutes late.
No issue, Anand, for that.
No
No
worries
issue.
about that, Ananda. Yeah, you may go ahead and ask your question now.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, what is the differences between the accent of the British accent and the US accent? Because in the United States, we use like programs, PRGRAM. And in Britain, in the are writing also in India, they use Kia, Rochare, double T. So, is there any differences or both are right or not?
It's echoing. I can't understand.
Ma'am, if you like, I can repeat his question. So,
Yeah.
what Ananda is asking basically is what exactly is the difference between the British and the American accent, and
Well, British American accent is a drawl. They drawl over all words. Elongate words. You'll always see a nasal tone to the American accent.
right, ma'am. That is something that I think is very much apt for the American accent, and the British is sort of comparatively more constricted. So, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Ananda, I hope that answer your. I think Ananda has left the meeting.
But I think both the accents are fine. I mean, you can't say one is wrong and one is right.
Right, ma'am. That's absolutely true, ma'am.
Like we have different dialects in Hindi.
Yeah.
Hindi is spoken differently in Haryana. Hindi is spoken differently in Delhi. So in the same way, English accent and American accent and British accent. I guess most of us are used to the British accent. From what I can see, people from different places.
True,
But I think
probably something as an outcome of say colonialism that we
Yeah.
are more tending towards British English than more than American English.
Well, now I guess even in England you won't be able to understand their English because it's not the Queen's English they speak anymore.
I have this perspective, man, that because of popular culture that has now majorly originates from America, people are actually gradually shifting towards the American accent and phraseology towards approaching the English language. Would you believe that's true, ma'am?
I guess so. I guess so. But see, like Americans, like when they talk about don't know, okay, they do know. I do know this, and they will have two negatives as correct in a sentence, whereas we will not accept two negatives in an answer. We don't do nothing. That's how they say. That's how they talk. But in British English, we are not going to accept that. You don't have two negatives.
That makes sense, ma'am. And ma'am, now we can move on to Arijit's question. Arijit, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, sure. I hope I'm audible to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, ma'am. Good morning. Ma'am, I have a very quick question, and this question comes from my experience of teaching a few kids in Bangalore, in a slum in Bangalore, where I was working with child rights in youth. Thing is that when we used to teach them, we used to teach students for around 2 to 3 hours on a weekend. So what happened is that when we used to come back the next weekend, we used to find out that the students have forgotten the things
That's
that
what
we
I
taught
said.
them.
You won't get any help from parents. You won't get any help from parents.
Exactly, because when thing is that many times in the urban circles we happen to listen to our parents speaking in English, and that is the kind of diction which we take up.
Yeah.
The thing is that we could not provide them any I would say exercises that they could complete at home or which their parents could support them. My question, and a thing which I'm very much curious about and which I have no idea about is that what are the kind of in-hand exercises that we can give to these students where we know that they do not have support from their household, but we want them to practice it over a week so that next time we come for the class, they would have practiced something so that they improve the other day. So, what are the kind of exercises or
I guess
in-hand
if you
exercises
can make use of phones now, I think every household will have a phone.
yes,
So give them little homework through, little guidelines through the phone or something, paraphrasing or just, comprehension is the best thing. Comprehension you give them, and you give them fill in the blanks, and next day you ask them, they'll read it and come. Or repetition of whatever you've done in school. You know, some exercises related to whatever is done in school. Some assignments to be done, some assignments which they can do. But first of all, the teaching has to be thorough in school. If they have not understood anything in school, you can't expect them to do any homework.
Very true.
Yeah, so repetition in school, don't be in a hurry to give homework. First week, everything in school itself. Next week, homework.
And can I
Because
follow
no
question?
parent is going to help. Parents won't help. And then the children will go back to work when they go home. So A, they won't have time. Some of them will come back with their homework, some of them won't. So I guess the next day, you must reiterate whatever you have done the previous day. A recapitulation of whatever has done. That would be the best.
Certainly, ma'am. That answers my question. Ma'am, can I have a very quick follow-up question? Very short one. Ma'am,
Sure, go
in
ahead.
addition to my in addition to my previous query regarding can we have some what I was saying, I don't remember exactly. I had shared a question earlier regarding the listening exercise. I just wanted to know, is it advisable that we have some extempore classes in the class when we said, okay, these are the words that we have taught you, this is the kind of diction that we have taught you. Can we encourage students to have a quick declamation contest where they have to just speak on a topic for 1 minute, just so that we can test if they have really learned something from
Of course,
us?
of course. Yeah, declamation, very good. Very good. But when I will have debates when I know my subject. If I'm able to communicate, then I will go in for debates and declamation.
Okay, so it has to happen somewhere down the
Yeah,
line,
so
but not
don't
in the
start.
first class.
Don't be very ambitious in the beginning.
Sure, ma'am.
You know, 1 week I teach English and the next week I expect them to debate. Is not what is going to happen. They will start debating in Hindi.
Well agreed. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That does
Yeah.
happen, ma'am.
Yeah, it will happen. It will happen.
Sure, ma'am. That answers my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question, Ariji. That was a great question. Ma'am, of course, if people do have more questions, we can definitely entertain more questions, ma'am, if you're willing to take in more questions, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Do feel free to send them in the chat or raise your hand or however you feel like it. But before that, ma'am, I had a question from my own side, if I
Yeah.
may. It's about, ma'am, the progression towards online teaching and what in general does this progression towards online teaching mean for curriculum setters and other stakeholders in the teaching community? Because people are saying that because after COVID, we'll be moving towards a hybrid form of teaching wherein some of the teaching will be on site and the other teaching will be on the laptop digitally. So, ma'am, what is your perception regarding that?
See, parents hate online teaching. Children hate online teaching. It's not just because they can't go to school and meet friends. It gets very boring. However entertaining it is online, it gets very boring for the children. And then so many hours.
No.
So many hours. You know, for example, my 10th and 12th standard children, they have requested they want to come home and learn. And so many of them want to repeat the stories that have been done in school. And I tell them, I said, what were you doing online? Ma'am, we were sleeping, we were doing something else. It's very easy to just put yourself there and start with something else. So I personally don't think, I'm from the old school. But I personally don't think online, especially for these children, online teaching is not going to help. It has to be, face to face.
And how about alternative ways of teaching about this? Like not the typical classroom teaching. If we were to say online, supposedly a game for that matter, that they get to learn through a process of a game. Something, if I were to give one example, would be like something of a Byju's early kids learning app, wherein they can just interact with various things, just slide across the screen to say match 2 plus 3 equals to 5.
Yeah. That would be good. You have to find a, viable method.
Hmm.
Some like once a week meeting of whatever they have learned through online. You teach
Yeah.
them online for a week, and then one day, next week they come, and that's how you will understand whether they have really learned it or not.
Yeah.
But everything can't be online.
That's so true, ma'am. Full
Because some of the homes, some of these homes where you have just one room apartments, most of these kids from
Yeah.
rural areas will have just one room apartment. And this child is sitting with the phone or in front of their computer, and the parents are talking, the brother is howling. How much do you expect the child to understand?
Even in urban households, I think, ma'am, that is a problem that does prevail. It just shows the digital divide along with just the problem of studying at home itself.
Yeah.
Even in like urban households, people are just busy in their own matters, and it's very difficult to accommodate studying into
Mhm.
a lifestyle like that. Of course,
And in
ma'am.
most of these homes, you have 4, 5 children sharing the same room along with adults.
Oh yes, ma'am.
And you can see, the screen, parents moving around, brothers, sisters moving around, and the poor child is expected to, pay attention.
On that sort of note, ma'am, do you think that will this digital sort of impetus that has been given to us, wherein um, uh, digitalization has been used to bridge the other divide, because somewhere in some places schools are not easily
Yeah, accessible.
located.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
of course.
So,
Remote
do you think that?
areas.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. So, ma'am, I
Yeah, of
think
course it will help. But then again, in these remote areas, Wi-Fi doesn't work. Half the time, they had with the teachers they're teaching. When I had to connect, we couldn't connect. Half the time went in connecting to these far off places. And we had to cancel so many classes.
that is definitely a very big problem with online
Yeah.
teaching.
Hmm.
Even when I was, recently personally involved with, some collaboration wherein we had to teach students online, I could see that instead of, we say that it's because of COVID precautions that we are online, but the students had actually huddled together in front of one tiny mobile screen,
Yeah.
15 that huddled together to attend a particular session, and that says a lot about the digital divide that we so hail to be hold it
Yeah.
in our.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, true. I mean, in India, everybody can't afford. And then 3 kids are there in a household, you can't expect all 3 of them to have.
of course, ma'am. Yes.
Very
um,
difficult.
Ma'am, we have a question from Jay Saki. Would you like to ask the question now, Jay?
Yes, good day to all.
Good day to you, Jay.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation. I have one concern. Earlier on, you expressed that these airs have been expressing that those of whom we're going to teach, they are people basically that can really afford. Such people will find most of it in the rural area. And what we're going to do is an online teaching. But then just
Yeah.
what you mentioned concerning the internet connectivity. So, for instance, probably I give the child assignment, and maybe because of that purpose, the time interval to bring the assignment wasn't submitted. What do you think would be the next opportunity, for such a student? Looking at internet connectivity, not permitting them to actually go through their work in time or in the learning week. What do you think could be opportunity I could give that students, just for them to do such an assignment or work?
Has Jay written anything? No. Could you repeat the question? Somebody
If I
else.
were to, if I were to condense his question, I guess he is pointing towards that fact only of, say, latency, which comes because of internet issues, that a student might not be able to do an assignment because of internet issues, and that might hamper his overall educational process then.
Well, then we'll have to take that in our stride. We'll have to repeat. We'll have to repeat it and find other methods of providing the assignment home. Maybe a printout can reach the child if the child is close by.
Something kind of transcript.
Yeah, transcript. Because I'm not very
Okay,
good
ma'am.
online and with all this, so I don't know what other methods are there. But if a person can't receive anything, internet is bad, Wi-Fi is not there, then what? How can you expect the child to connect?
Yeah, for me, what we are saying, probably is to extend the time, and extend the time and give them another opportunity. To actually do the work. So doing internet connectivity, yeah.
Or the child can go to another friend, who lives close by and access it from there. Clubbing would be good. Like you said, so many children clustered together in front of one phone. We could have 2-3 kids in front of one phone wherever it is accessible.
Okay.
Hope that answers your question.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Jay. And given that we don't seem to have any more questions from the PSEX community, and uh, I don't see any hands raised, I think we can move on to concluding the session, ma'am, if that's fine with you.
Sure.
Right.
It was a very good
Final
experience.
remarks.
It was a very good experience. And I think it is very laudable what you people are doing. And that's how our country is going to make progress, and stay united through the common language. Through the common language. Right? The globe has become smaller.
Yeah.
You can reach everywhere.
But it was our privilege to host you, ma'am. It was definitely a very, very insightful
I would love to
session.
visit these places. I would love to visit all these places and, find out what progress people are making. That would be great after the COVID.
Sure,
Of
ma'am.
course,
Sure.
we'll definitely try to accommodate that, ma'am. And but it's just an honor to have such a veteran teacher like you.
No, it was my pleasure. My pleasure to be
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you so
session.
much.
I will
Thank
request
you.
you to make one final remark upon how to proceed with, say, English, and
No, I think
just one
it's
concluding remark on this.
a noble venture, and I wish you all the best. How many years has it been?
Not years, ma'am. It's been the PSEX organization is about 8-9 months here.
8 months, yeah.
It's more laudable.
This is
And
our
so
And
first.
this is
how do you connect to so many countries?
Ma'am, just the online boost has been, a boost for us. So we've been leveraging online platforms to connect to birds of the same feather. And as you can see by the questions and the quality of the people here, they're
Whose
very.
brainchild was this? Whose brainchild was this?
Ma'am, I'd say that it was a collective brainchild of, there was this need of effectuating the sustainable development goals in some way, and we just thought in our humble ways we can extend our efforts towards this cause. So just we have a few more people in the core team and the co-founders there, but it's we wouldn't just say that it's our brainchild, because we have a lot of amazing people like the fellows, volunteers, and interns there who've been with us every step of the way, and they've
Yeah, the volunteers must be exceptional to take up this challenge.
they most
Really,
definitely
ma'am.
are, ma'am. They
And I
most
wish
definitely
everybody
are.
the best. I wish everyone the best.